Welcome back to the Deep Dive Cash Flow Circle. Okay, so today we're taking a look at The Complete Idiot's Guide to Personal Finance in Your 40s and 50s. Now, I know it's from 2002.
Right, you might think it's dated.
Exactly. But it holds a, well, surprising amount of really practical wisdom. So for all of you on your Wednesday walk, our mission today is pretty clear.
Yeah, we want to pull out the most important stuff, help you figure out, which parts really speak to your financial life right now.
And maybe give you a bit of a roadmap for making these lessons work for you, maybe even starting on your next walk.
And what's really interesting here, I think, isn't just that the core ideas hold up, but how much they hit home for the challenges and the opportunities in your 40s and 50s.
It's that juggling act, isn't it?
Totally. You're often thinking about college, maybe weddings, but still wanting to enjoy life now while also, building that security for later. It's about finding that balance.
That balance, living now, planning for later, that really feels like the core tension for so many people. So, okay, finding that starting point. Who in our cash flow circle is this guide really talking to?
Well, the book calls middle age, financially speaking, basically 40 to 60.
Okay.
So it's really aimed squarely at anyone who started to feel that little shift. Realizing retirement isn't some abstract thing way off in the distance anymore.
Right, it's becoming a much more real peak on the horizon.
Precisely. And connecting that to the bigger picture, this guide is sort of calling out to anyone who knows it's time to take a serious look at their finances.
Because you still have time to actually do something.
Exactly. That window of opportunity to make real improvements. Whether you feel pretty good about things or maybe you've got some financial hurdles to clear, it's about getting a clearer snapshot of where you stand right now and then charting the course. So as you're walking today, maybe ask yourself, am I in my 40s or 50s? Or am I getting close?
Right, because that helps you know where to focus your attention first.
It really does.
Okay, so let's get into those core lessons. The financial playbook for these middle years. The book lays it out pretty logically, covering a lot of ground. It kicks off with what it calls the big picture. Assessment, needs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it pushes you right away to figure out where you stand financially. And the absolute critical piece of that, like right out of the gate, is understanding your net worth.
Ah, the big number.
It's more than just a number, though. It's kind of your midlife financial scorecard, right?
Yeah.
What you own minus what you owe.
The unvarnished truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And understanding it now is probably the single most powerful thing you can do to course correct for retirement. The book even has a worksheet to help you figure it out properly.
And it also really zeroes in on telling the difference between wants and needs. Now, that sounds simple.
It does, doesn't it?
But day to day, that line can feel, well, incredibly blurry. What's maybe the toughest want that people in this age group mistake for a need? And how does the book suggest we tackle that?
That's a great question, because it is deceptively simple. Okay, food, shelter, those are obvious needs. But the book points out how easily we can elevate luxuries, the fancy car, the big trip, into things we feel we need. I think the toughest one is often tied to that lifestyle creep, right? Things that used to be treats become expectations. The book really just pushes you to be honest, brutally honest sometimes. But one non-negotiable need it hammers home, which honestly a lot of people overlook, is that emergency fund.
Right, the safety net.
Yeah, typically 3 to 6 months of income. That's your real financial bedrock. If something goes wrong, that's what keeps you afloat.
Makes sense. And beyond savings.
It's about securing your present.
Yeah.
So the guide talks through the key insurances, not just health, obviously, but things like disability insurance, often forgotten. But it can replace maybe 60% of your income if you suddenly can't work. Huge. And then, of course, making sure your homeowner's insurance is adequate. Your home is probably your biggest asset. Auto insurance, that's usually required anyway.
And life insurance.
Yeah, it helps you weigh term versus cash value policies.
Yeah.
The idea is to figure out what actually fits your situation, not just buy whatever someone's selling you.
Okay. And then there's budgeting. The B word.
Right. But the book tries to reframe it. It's not about restriction. It's just a tool. It's about tracking, seeing where the money's actually going.
How does it suggest breaking that down?
It uses categories like fixed versus variable expenses. Mortgage is fixed, food bill varies, and discretionary versus non-discretionary. Utilities are non-discretionary, movie tickets are.
So the point is?
The takeaway is pretty straightforward. Knowing these categories helps you see where you can cut back quickly if you need to. It's almost always easier to trim the variable stuff, the discretionary spending.
Right. Less painful than trying to cut fixed costs. Okay, so for everyone walking and listening, maybe pause and ask, do I really know my net worth? Like, for real? Is my emergency fund solid? Am I covered with the right insurance? And have I been honest with myself about wants versus needs in my spending?
Those are powerful questions.
Now, here's where it gets, well, really impactful for a lot of people listening. Family matters. Middle age often means juggling financial support across generations. Kids, parents.
This is the heart of that sandwich generation issue, isn't it? Trying to support your kids, maybe through college or getting started, and increasingly helping out aging parents too.
So what does the guide say about kids' expenses?
It's pretty direct. Kids cost money, and older kids often cost more money. Cars for teenagers, that's a big one. And then, yeah, the elephant in the room, college.
A huge financial hurdle.
Massive. So the book reviews different savings tools like 529 plans, education IRAs, ways to grow money for education with tax advantages. It also mentions tax credits like the APE and lifetime learning credits that can help ease the tuition burden.
Are those still relevant today? Some of those names might have changed.
Good point. The specific names and rules for credits and plans definitely evolve, so you need to check current IRS guidelines. But the concept using tax-advantaged accounts and looking for education tax credits is absolutely still valid and crucial. It even touches on using home equity as a financing option. The key takeaway isn't the specific plan name from 2002, but knowing these types of tools exist.
Gotcha. And weddings.
Yeah, even back then, it pegged the average cost around $19,000, a major expense. It talks about different ways to split costs, traditional versus modern, and gives some really practical money-saving tips.
Like what?
Things like maybe having a brunch reception instead of dinner, or getting a smaller fancy cake for show and having sheet cake in the back to serve. Just smart, practical ways to manage big cost.
And it's not just the young kids, right? What about helping grown children who might need, a bit of a financial leg up?
Right. It gets into that tricky area of whether you should loan money or just give it as a gift.
What's the main advice there?
Clarity. Absolute clarity on the terms. If it's a loan, write it down. Seriously. If it's a gift, be clear about that too. No strings attached. It also talks about setting ground rules if adult kids move back home, which seems to be happening more and more.
And for aging parents.
The advice is basically, be proactive. Try to assess their financial situation, income, expenses, net worth, and, importantly, have those difficult conversations.
Ugh, yeah. The tough ones.
Totally. Wills, long-term care insurance, where are the important documents? It even mentions creative housing solutions like eco housing, those little modular units you can put on your property.
Interesting. Okay, so another reflection point for the walk. Are you dealing with college costs or wedding expenses right now? Do your grown kids need some help, or are they maybe moving back in? And are you starting to think about or already involved in caring for aging parents? Have you had those crucial money talks with them?
Heavy stuff, but necessary.
Definitely. Okay, moving on to hearth and home, your home base. For most people, it's their biggest asset, and this section really nails how housing needs can shift in midlife.
Absolutely.
Right?
Your home isn't just bricks and mortar, it's full of memories.
Right.
But it's also a huge financial piece.
Yeah.
And yeah, in your 40s and 50s, people often hit that stay or go crossroads.
Kids move out, maybe health changes.
Exactly. So maybe it's downsizing, or maybe remodeling to make the current place work better, or even building something new. The guide gives practical pointers for each, like, if you build new, really vet the builder, understand the warranty.
What about second homes? That dream cabin or beach house?
It lays out the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, a getaway, maybe some rental income, but also the cons. Maintenance, unexpected costs, maybe deed restrictions you didn't know about.
Yeah.
And taxes are key.
How so?
Well, how much you use it personally versus renting it out really impacts how it's treated for tax purposes. The book has specific rules from 2002. The numbers might differ now, but the principle holds. Personal use matters for taxes.
And timeshares.
The book is pretty blunt here.
Yeah.
They're for vacations, not real estate investments.
Yeah.
You pay up front, you pay annual fees for upkeep, and usually trade locations. It's a lifestyle purchase, not an investment strategy.
Good distinction. And paying for all this. Mortgages.
Yeah, it reviews the usual suspects, fixed rate, adjustable rate, different loan lengths like 15 or 30 years. It also reminds you about the extra costs, furniture, moving, all that stuff beyond the mortgage itself. And it mentions swing loans if you need bridge financing between selling and buying.
Okay. So thinking about your own home base, is your current setup still working? Are you maybe thinking about downsizing or moving? If you buy at a second home or timeshare, do you really get the costs and tax angles? And are you up to speed on financing options for buying or renovating?
Good questions for this stage of life.
Next up, life changes. Adapting to the unexpected. Because, well, life happens, right? And midlife often brings some big shifts that hit your finances hard.
Yeah, the book puts it simply. Change happens and looks at how we handle those big shifts: work, relationships, health. The workplace is a big one. It's always changing.
Technology, demographic.
Right. The book mentioned the average worker holding 9 jobs by age 32. That just shows how common job changes are, whether you choose them or they choose you through downsizing.
So if someone in the cash flow circle faces job loss, what's the most critical advice from the guide?
It stresses practical, quick actions. File for unemployment right away. Clamp down on spending, especially those variable discretionary costs. Figure out health insurance, like COBRA options, even though they can be pricey.
And emotionally.
It acknowledges it can be traumatic, and it gives a piece of advice that's easy to forget in the moment. Don't burn your bridges when you leave. Networking is crucial. For people thinking of starting their own thing, entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It highlights planning, planning, planning. And a useful tip for home-based businesses. Remember those potential tax deductions for home office space, often missed.
What other life changes does it cover?
It touches on losing loved ones, the financial side of that, like dealing with wills, changes in marital status, divorce, remarriage, and the financial implications, like alimony or prenups, and dealing with serious illness, which hits both income and savings.
So what are the coping strategies it suggests?
Basically, acknowledge the change is happening, build a really strong support system, take control of the things you can control. And don't be afraid to get professional help, whether that's financial advice or mental health support.
Makes sense. So, reflecting on potential changes, how prepared are your finances for a job change or an unexpected illness? Have you thought about how things like divorce or remarriage would impact you financially? And do you have that support system ready for when things get tough?
Important contingency planning.
Definitely. Now let's get to smart investing and professional guidance. This is where you make your money work for you. And investing smartly in your 40s and 50s is, well, it's critical.
Absolutely crucial for retirement. This section covers retirement savings, other investment options, and something really key: finding the right financial advisor.
Okay, retirement savings first. What's the baseline?
The guide reminds us Social Security usually only covers about 40% of what you earn before retiring. Most people need more like 60–80% to keep the same lifestyle. So you got to make up the difference.
Through things like 401k.
Exactly. It reviews employer plans like 401k, explains rules about loans and withdrawals, which can be tempting but costly, and importantly, vesting schedules.
Vesting.
Yeah, how long you have to work somewhere before the company's contributions are truly yours. It could be cliff vesting all at once after, say, 3 years, or graduated, where you get a percentage each year. Really important if you change jobs often.
Good point. And investing outside of work, stocks, bonds, it can feel overwhelming.
It can. The guide tries to distill it. The core message isn't about becoming a Wall Street expert, but understanding key ideas. For stocks. Yeah, highest potential return over time, but also riskier. The antidote: diversification.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Basically, yes. For bonds. Generally safer, but they still have risks, like inflation eating away at returns or interest rates changing. Mutual funds are shown as an easy way to get diversification, but you have to watch the costs.
And IRAs.
It reviews the main types. Traditional IRAs for tax-deferred growth now, Roth IRAs, where you pay tax now but withdrawals later, can be tax-free. Understanding the tax benefits is huge.
What about getting a lump sum, like a bonus or inheritance?
Okay, this is key advice from the book. The very best first step is almost always paying off high-interest debt. Think credit cards. Get rid of that first.
Makes sense. Then invest.
Yeah, and for investing that lump sum, it recommends dollar-cost averaging. Instead of dumping it all in at once, invest smaller, equal amounts regularly over time. It helps smooth out the market's ups and downs.
Smart. And finding an advisor, that feels like a minefield.
It can be. The guide stresses they aren't all the same. It outlines different types: CFPs, CPAs, etc. But the most important things to ask are, how do you get paid? Is it a flat fee, hourly, or commissions on products they sell you?
Why does that matter so much?
Because commissions can create conflicts of interest. You also want to check their certifications and experience. And it gives a big warning sign. Walk away from anyone who guarantees high returns or seems to be constantly moving your money around just to make trades. That's called churning.
Got it. Okay, Investment check-in time. Have you really looked at your retirement savings progress? Do you get the details of your work plan, like vesting? Are you comfortable with your mix of stocks, bonds, funds? What would you do with a lump sum? And if you use an advisor, do you know exactly how they make money from you?
Crucial questions for this stage.
All right, last big section. Preparing for the future, your legacy. Looking down the road, making sure you land okay financially, and, leave things in order.
Yeah, this is about estate planning. Nobody loves thinking about it, but it's really a gift you give your family.
So step one.
Get a will. The book is super clear. Everyone needs one. Otherwise, the courts decide who gets what. That means choosing an executor you trust, and if you have kids, naming guardians. Absolutely vital.
How does property actually transfer?
It explains different ways. Sometimes it's automatic, like with jointly owned property, operation of law. Other times it goes through the court process called probate, which follows your will.
And managing estate taxes or protecting assets?
The guide talks about tools like trusts, different kinds, like revocable living trusts, and also gifting. The book mentioned a $10,000 annual gift exclusion back in 2002.
That number is definitely higher now.
Oh yeah, it's significantly higher now. But the strategy of gifting assets during your lifetime to reduce your taxable estate, still a very powerful tool. Check current IRS limits, of course.
What about long-term care insurance?
It's discussed as a newer, kind of debated topic. It covers costs for things like nursing homes or in-home help if you need it later. It can be expensive. But the guide suggests that buying it when you're younger and healthier might make it more affordable or accessible. It's a complex decision, worth looking into.
And the book ends on a positive note about aging.
It really does. It pushes back against those negative stereotypes. That older people are mostly sick or unproductive. It frames getting older as a blessing, emphasizes how many people stay vibrant and active.
That's great to hear. Okay, final self-check for the walk. Do you have a will? A living will, power of attorney. Have you thought through your estate plan, how assets will pass, considered long-term care needs? And importantly, are you looking towards your later years with, financial confidence?
Big things to ponder.
So wrapping this all up for the cash flow circle, you're on your walk, you've heard all this. What does it mean for exploring the guide itself? We designed this deep dive to be a shortcut, right?
Exactly. To help you feel informed without having to read, 300 pages right away.
So this raises that important question. How can you best structure digging into this material and actually take useful notes, maybe even during your walks?
Yeah, great question. Here's what I'd suggest. First, definitely start with that big picture stuff, chapters 1 through 5 in the book. Get that net worth figured out. Really wrestle with needs versus wants. That's your foundation.
Okay, build the base first.
Right. Then personalize it. Don't feel like you have to go cover to cover in order right away. Look at the table of contents, look at the parts we just discussed, and jump to what feels most relevant to you right now.
So if you have young kids?
Dive into the college savings and teaching kids about money sections. If you're an empty nester, maybe focus more on housing changes, ramping up retirement investing, estate planning.
Considering a job change or starting a business.
Then part 4, life changes, is your first stop. Tailor it to your immediate situation.
And for taking notes.
Use the book structure. The parts, Hearth and Home, Smart Investing, they give you a natural framework. And then, for each section you read or listen to, make it actionable. Ask yourself 3 things.
Okay, what are they?
1, what's the single biggest takeaway or fact I learned here? 2, how does this apply specifically to my life, my finances? And 3, what's one concrete step I can take this week or maybe this month based on this?
I like that. Key fact, personal application, action step.
Exactly. And maybe a 4th. Jot down any questions that come up for you to discuss later with the circle or research more.
Fantastic. So what a journey through the finances of your 40s and 50s. We've covered a lot, from emergency funds all the way to estate planning. Hopefully this gives you, the Cash Flow Circle, a really clear path for exploring this guide. It's all about empowering those smart decisions.
Absolutely. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, remember that knowledge is great, but it's most valuable when you actually understand it and, crucially, apply it. So the real question now is, how will you prioritize these insights? How will you act on them today to pave the way for the future you want tomorrow? Keep talking about it in the Cash Flow Circle, keep learning, keep doing, and keep building that wealth.